Welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg. I'm Village President Al Larson. In this episode, I'll talk with the general manager of Schaumburg's new minor league baseball team. Then, members of Schaumburg's Memorial Day Observance Committee will be here to discuss their upcoming event. We'll finish the program with a trip to the recently remodeled Turret House, the new home of Schaumburg's Family Counseling Center. All of this and more today on Speaking of Schaumburg. Next year, a new minor league baseball team will be in play at Schaumburg's beautiful Lexington Field. With me to talk about professional baseball in Schaumburg is the new team's general manager, John Dietrich. John, welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg.
Thank you, Mayor Larson.
Now you've been involved in baseball for quite some time, haven't you?
38 years. That's quite some time, I think.
Oh, yeah.
A big chunk of my time.
Oh, yeah. Well, how'd you get started?
I got started back in 1973 with Bobby Bragan down in the Texas League. I was in the Texas League office. I wrote letters to all the major league, minor league teams, and he was one of the few that answered my letter. And I drove all night to Fort Worth, Texas, to get just to get an interview with him, and he hired me on the spot, and I haven't been out of the business since.
What did he hire you as? What were you going to be, a broadcaster? Were you going to be a manager?
I would have loved to have been a broadcaster. That was what I studied to be, but I found out that you have to have talent for that. So then when I discovered that, I thought, well, what can you do that doesn't require talent? And management came to mind. So I started out as his secretary. And in the 70s, people still had secretaries.
Sure.
I typed his letters, I made his coffee, I answered the phone. And but in the meantime, he told me and shared all of his knowledge. He was a major league manager, a major league executive. And he became my mentor until the day he died. Now,
you were involved with the Schaumburg Flyers early on, weren't you?
I was. We were here when we put the stadium up, and I just found my picture with you and the park board and Miles Wolf, our commissioner, all with our hard hats on, with our golden shovels.
Putting a shovel in the ground.
Yeah,
that's right. And it's a baseball bat handle on the shovel.
That's right. It was July 10, 1998.
Okay.
I can remember it well.
How many years did you manage?
The Flyers?
Yeah, the Flyers.
The first two all during the construction, because we started our office a year ahead, and then the first two seasons that they played at Lexington Field. And those were two really fun years.
Yeah. Made the playoffs too, or almost made the playoffs.
No, we made it the first year.
Okay, first year.
We didn't have the greatest regular season record, but we managed to finish first just by the skin of our teeth, and got in the playoffs, but we got eliminated right away.
Okay. All right. What you been doing since your stint with the Flyers?
Went to Fort Worth with my old mentor, Bobby Bragan. He was trying to get a ballpark built in the city of Fort Worth, which is a big league city. It's part of the Dallas-Fort Worth, and we built a new ballpark in downtown Fort Worth on the site where the old ballpark had been torn down 40 years ago. It was actually owned by the Wrigley family, the old ballpark.
Sure.
And we built a new ballpark there in 2002. And they're the Fort Worth Cats, and they've done quite well. We were there about 9 years.
How many titles did you?
3 championships in those, yeah. We were in the playoffs 7 out of 9.
Wow.
And we won it all 3 times.
Wow.
So it was a great experience. There's one of my rings right there.
Oh, yeah, that's I was looking at that when you came in.
I want to get one of those for the Flyers.
Yeah.
Well, it won't be the Flyers. We'll have to change the name.
Yeah. So, but now you're involved with, you're back here again where it began as far as the Flyers were concerned.
It's like, it's like old home week.
Okay.
I'm here, that ballpark was really the first really spectacular ballpark that we've ever been involved in. It's still that way. It needs a little TLC, but it's still one of the best ballparks in minor league baseball.
So what's going to happen at the stadium this year? I mean, what do you? Well,
because we got a little late start getting all the, terms of our lease worked out and everything, and it was a little too late to put a team in a league, but we're going to have a club next year. This year, we got Dominican playing there right now. We got Roosevelt University playing baseball there right now. We got several youth tournaments and youth games scheduled. We have several other events in there, including the American Cancer Society Relay for Life, which is coming up. And then I want to sit down with the village officials and see if we can work out a big community 4th of July. Maybe it'd be a patriotic concert and a fireworks show. And then we also are looking at a couple concerts, and we're still working on a lot of that stuff, but there's quite a bit booked already.
Now, you're going to be general manager, or is it general manager say?
I'm going to be GM of the baseball team when we get it started again, and I'll be the GM of the stadium, of course, right now.
What does the GM do?
Of a minor league baseball team,
yeah.
A little of everything. I mean, you know, it's not. We don't have as many people. You don't get as involved in just player trades and stuff like that. It's more about running the whole organization from top to bottom.
Okay.
Like the old days of GMs when when Bill Veeck ran the White Sox or John Holland ran the Cubs. Those guys ran everything. They ran the marketing, the sales, the ticketing, and the player part. And that's pretty much what you do in a level like this.
Yeah. So what now? You're going to bring a team. You're going to bring a team in, obviously. So you got to get a name. What are your thoughts on naming the team?
I'm going to have a hard time breaking myself of saying Flyers. I already had one here, but we think we didn't buy the franchise that was there before, so we have to have a new name, and we're going to do another contest like we did before.
What league are you going to play?
We're going to be in the American Association, which is a league that the fans are going to recognize a lot of the teams because these other teams that were formerly in the league with the Flyers have joined that league. Gary and St. Paul and Fargo, Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Winnipeg. So we'll be playing familiar teams that we've played before here in Schaumburg, but the league is called the American Association, and it spans. It's going to be in two divisions, North and South. It is already. We're just going to join next year, but I mean, but it will go as far south and west as El Paso.
Oh, really? How many teams in the league?
Well, next year I think they're hoping to have 16. We're prepared to play with 14. It depends on. There's a team in Shreveport that they're considering whether that's going to be, the franchise that we take over, or whether there's going to be two new franchises, one being Schaumburg and then the other in the south somewhere. Now,
you're not the only newcomer or old-timer coming in. I mean, there's somebody else involved with you, isn't he? John Aremus?
With the Schaumburg team, yeah. Yes, that's our primary owner. It's Al Aremus. John is John is his first name, but he goes by Al.
Okay, all right.
So you got that in common with him, I guess. He is a longtime baseball guy and was a minority investor in the Flyers back at the beginning, but he left about the same time we did. Now,
there's some rumors flying around out there by folks who allegedly trying to convince people that they're in the know and they know what's happening as far as the team is concerned. What are you doing to dispel some of these?
Well, you get caught in this rock and a hard place. I've tried to dispel some of them on some of these internet blogs that go around, but there's a couple people that just can't seem to be convinced that we're just doing, that we're transparent and we're doing what we're saying we're going to do. And those people, I did try to, but I've decided maybe the best tactic is just to stop trying to combat it and just show them, like my old boss Bobby Bragan used to say, I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. So, we'll just get out there and get busy, and that's the best way we can dispel.
Yeah. I mean, supposedly, is it just a ploy to get past an election and
Yeah, well, that's one theory they had out there. But, I mean, that's just happened to be a coincidence that the election was last month, or what. We just really, the opportunity to get back into the ballpark in Schaumburg was there, and we took it.
Where are you going to get your players from?
The same way they've gotten them in the past. Most of the players the rules of the American Association for Players are about the same as the rules in the old Northern League. You can have 4 veterans, you have to have 4 rookies, and all the rest of the players can be from 1 to 4 years of experience.
You're going to have tryouts?
We'll have tryouts.
Open tryouts?
Yes, and then there's a league-wide tryout camp, usually in Arizona, and then also we'll have a lot of players that were released by major league organizations that we know about.
Have they contacted you at all? Are they calling?
Players?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we get emails from players all the time, but I at this point, it would be premature. The time that we would start signing players would be in the fall after this current baseball season.
When would the tryouts take place?
That'll take place in the spring.
Spring. Oh, it's spring now.
About a year from now.
Oh, a year from now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I mean, we're going to play about a year from now. They'll take place about 2 months out in front of the season.
Well, John, I'm looking forward to seeing you out there managing the stadium and managing the team, and a successful year. I'm looking forward to that too.
I am too.
We're going to miss baseball this year, but you're bringing baseball in this year, so.
Right, and we might even be able to bring a couple of exhibition games in from a couple of the leagues.
Oh, that's
too.
great.
So we'll
John,
work on.
thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Every year, Schaumburg remembers our fallen heroes with a special ceremony. We'll learn about it next on Speaking of Schaumburg. Every Memorial Day, the Village of Schaumburg co-sponsors a Memorial Day observance ceremony. Here now to talk about this year's program are the event's chairman, Chuck Lincolnheld, Don Bushy, and committee member Joe Wine. Well, welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg.
Welcome to be here, Al.
Chuck, good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
You were involved in last year's event, so as were you.
Yes, I was.
And you as well. Well, tell us about it.
Well, again, it's on May 30th. I don't know if everybody knows what Memorial when it started. Do you know when Memorial Day started?
Right after the Civil War.
1868. Okay. And it started by General John Alexander, I have it right here, Logan. And he wanted all the graves of all the American people who fought, American servicemen in the Civil War, not just the Confederate or the Northerns. He wanted all these graves to be decorated. And since that day, as we knew it when we were young kids, it was called Decoration Day. I think in 1972 is when they changed it and it became Memorial Day. So it's been going on a long time. And so we have followed suit here in Schaumburg running this program. And I think it started in 1978 and with Reverend
Pastor Sternberg.
Pastor Sternberg. And he was our in Rotary Club. He was our Rotary president that year, and he started this, and it's been going on ever since.
And it's not just Schaumburg, is it? It's Schaumburg and Hoffman Estates.
It's a joint.
Yeah. So, and what is your role?
Well, I'm also one of the co-chairmen. I am presently the properties manager, facilities manager over at St. Peter's, so that's why we're involved, since it's held on our property. It's back on our property after the traveling wall was over at the Schaumburg Flyer Stadium, and then we brought it back. And last year it was a pretty good success, so we're going to have it again.
Yeah, Joe?
I've been the commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars here in Schaumburg for the last few years, and I've been a co-chair with Chuck as far as the military committee for Memorial Day. The VFW typically does a ceremonial firing in the cemetery. We'll do it again this year. The American Legion is going to have a role with us out in the cemetery before the program happens in the church. And that's really, I think, the essence of Memorial Day is the playing of taps, the laying of the wreaths, and the remembrance of the fallen.
Chuck, you guys have a pretty good-sized committee, don't you?
Yes, we do. We've been working together, the VFW and the American Legion. We started getting, since I became commander, working together to make our numbers look big, and we've done very well on this. And thanks to Joe inviting me over there. And this program is getting bigger and bigger, and I'm so excited about the program this year because it's really it's going to be something to see.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's going to start at 10 o'clock. It's going to start over at the Hoffman Estates, and first of all, it's going to be the flag coming down over there. We're going to lower the flag there, take the flag. It's going to be handed to an officer from the Schaumburg Police Department, a motorcycle officer. He'll get it. He'll take the flag and bring the flag and escort the flag back to St. Peter's. When it gets back to St. Peter's, we will make the transfer of the flag back to us, the American Legion. We will come over there, and then we're going to raise the flag over there at St. Peter's, and then the program starts. We'll have, I think, Reverend from Stanger, the new Reverend over at St. Marceline, will be doing the ceremony there, and then invocation, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I think
we'll have
the pledge is going to lead us on that. Yeah, the Chief Howerton's going to lead us in that.
Police Chief.
Yeah, the Police Chief. Yeah, he's going to take care of that for us. And then after that, we're going to be marching into the. You tell more about that because you know what's going on.
We'll be marching in. The American Legion and the VFW will be marching into the cemetery with the American Legion this year is going to be carrying the colors, not only the national colors, but the colors from every service organization along with the POW and MIA flag, which we haven't done in the past. We just add a little something nice to the ceremony. And then the VFW firing team will move out. And then a few of the ladies from our Ladies Auxiliary will move out and lay the wreaths. And it's fairly significant in the cemetery that we have it at there too, because there are veterans from the Civil War, veterans from World War I, World War II. There's quite a few members from our post from years back that are in that cemetery. So we really appreciate the St. Peter's cooperation and all that you guys have done so that we can have this there, because it really is the place in Schaumburg to have it. That's where many of our veterans from this community are buried, and that's the place to have it in town.
And you've got music too, haven't you?
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah, the Spring Valley Nature Band is playing.
All right.
And then it's the same chorus group, except they
Change your name.
Yeah, because it kind of disbanded a little bit, but there was a certain core of singers that wanted to stay together. So they just at the last meeting gave us the name, but I don't quite remember what it is.
Okay. Of course, you're going to have music inside the church as well.
Oh, yeah,
they will be inside. That'll be
So all the
inside.
music
It's all
inside
inside.
church. The only thing music you're going to hear outside the church is going to be the playing of taps.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that'll be playing of taps. And then if we get the program, everything settled, then we're going to have everybody march into the church, and then the program will start in the church. You'll have your fire department and your police department are going to be your color guard that are going to bring in and posting the flags in the church themselves. So we'll do all the outside, they'll do the inside. So it's a joint effort by all of us working together as a team.
You got some contributions for that event too, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We've got money coming from both Rotary clubs, the AM and PM club over there. We got a $400 from a Sikh organization. It's going to be
Sikh.
out. Sikh.
Sikh.
Yeah, a Sikh organization is going to be out there that day to help us with serving the food, and which is really
That's right.
nice.
There's a picnic afterwards, isn't there?
Yeah. Last year we got rained out, and this year we hope not to.
Well, it really didn't get rained out. We had to go to Plan B, which we used our gymnasium as for the picnic then. So one of the advantages of having it at St. Peter's are the versatility of the building that we have and the facility is, whereas if it does rain, we can move everything inside if need be.
You have options.
Yes.
You have options, right? Okay. Typically, now when you have the picnic on the outside, what do you have? Popcorn and refreshments and what?
Yeah, it's basically
dogs?
hot dog, beer, pop, water, chips, that type of thing.
It's a real family event too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. And that is being supplied by our JCs. They are donating all the food and cooking it and presenting it over there. And we've got numerous Boy Scout troops that are going to come out and help clean up the tables and all that stuff. They're going to be doing that for us. There's a lot of volunteers that are going to be out there helping, working with us. The Elks Club is going to be, they're serving the beer. They'll be bringing the beer out there. And then we have pop and soda and water that we provide out there for everybody, potato chips.
Okay. And patriotic speeches too during the ceremony.
As you know, Lieutenant Colonel John Mahoney, who's retired, is going to be our guest speaker that day. Okay. So he'll be our guest speaker. And then again, you remember last year the young lady Athena?
Yes.
She'll be back this year. You want to know that this year she went and represented us and won the state competition for the American Legion in the oratorical speech.
She has great stage presence.
Yeah, she won a $2,000 from the state, and I just got back from Indianapolis this weekend where she went for the national. She didn't win that, came close, but she ended up with another $1,500. So you'll hear her speak again. And
she took second place in the district with the VFW. We have a similar youth essay contest. She was our post winner, and she went on a district, and she finished second out of 22 kids.
Oh, that's great.
So,
Chuck, it's good to see you again.
You want more to
Don.
It wasn't for this man that did all the work behind the scenes.
And this man is Don Bushy.
Don Bushy. Well, all the work behind the scenes that he does makes us all happy.
I'm getting this red light over here. Up next, I'll take a trip to the new home of Schaumburg's Family Counseling Center. So stay with us. We're here at the Family Counseling Center with the director, Duree Bryant. Duree, tell us about what is this? A beautiful facility.
Well, we just recently moved from the barn campus over by the Schaumburg barn over here to the Turret House, which is just a couple of doors down from the intersection of Schaumburg and Roselle Road. So this is our new home.
That was the old mayor's office there, wasn't it?
It was.
Bob
I was actually in your old office over there in the other place.
Yeah, Bob Atcher was upstairs, and the building department was downstairs, and the
There's a lot of history there.
It was across in the barn basement. So what do you do here? Give us a little background as to what the Family Counseling Center is all about and how did it come about?
Okay. Well, the Family Counseling Center, how it came about was it started in 1974 with a group of people in Schaumburg, and the trustees were behind that at the time also, that were interested in, at that point, diverting young people from the criminal justice system, so to speak. So in other words, if a young person was to get into some kind of trouble, they wanted them to get some counseling right away to prevent it from getting worse.
Wasn't there a partnership initially with the YMCA?
It was. It started with village funds, but they actually paid the local YMCA to administer the program, because at that point in time we didn't really have a fully developed Health and Human Services department, and so they asked the Y to administer the program. But in 1980 the program went all the way under the village because we had a fully developed Health and Human Services program at that point, and so that's who was the supervisor of the program then.
Okay.
And in working with young people that were starting to get into trouble, you naturally start to work with their families. And so we started more branching out into working with families as a whole. And back in the beginning when we started in 1974, it was called Schaumburg Youth Outreach because of what the purpose of the program was at the time.
How many counselors do you have? What's your staff?
Right now we have 2 full-time and 1 part-time therapists here. They're considered marriage and family therapists.
Okay.
And we provide individual, couple, and family counseling for residents of the village of Schaumburg.
Okay. They make an appointment to call you? How do they?
They would call, and we do an intake over the phone, which is mostly finding out name, address, phone number type of information. And we also get a brief description of them of what problem they're coming in to work on. And then that case is assigned to one of our therapists here. And the therapist calls them and sets up their first appointment.
This kind of ties in with the teen center too, doesn't it?
The teen center, my actual title with the village of Schaumburg is Supervisor of Human Services. So I have 4 programs that fall underneath me. The Family Counseling Center here is one of them, but the teen center is another one. Then the senior center at the barn, and then the police social workers at the police department also fall under me.
And your staff does all of that, or they specialize in certain areas?
Well, the staff here at the Family Counseling Center all have their master's degrees in like social work or marriage and family therapy, and they specialize in providing therapy for residents of Schaumburg. Like I say, individual, couple, or family counseling. Those other programs, once again, like you said, they have their own specialties, the teen center, the senior center, and then my police social worker. So those might be topics for another day for your program when you run out of topics.
So you're kind of juggling 4 different programs.
Yeah, I like it.
What's your background? How did you get involved?
Well, I actually got my master's in marriage and family therapy from Auburn University. And I was looking for a job, and the person who was the director at the Family Counseling Center here had formerly worked with my major professor at Auburn, and so she called him and said, "Do you have a student that's ready for a job?" So I started here thinking I would be here for a couple of years, get some experience on my resume, and was hired as a therapist at the Family Counseling Center. And then the director left, and I got her job when I was only, I think, 27 years old. So.
Oh, you're giving away your age now.
I am. Oh yeah, I am, aren't I? Oh yikes. That's okay.
Well, this is such a great historic building, the Turret House.
It was built in 1901.
It's gorgeous. It's just wonderful. It's iconic as far as the village is concerned, and certainly very inviting. And I suspect that's the kind of atmosphere you want.
It is. I mean, one of the things we actually liked about our other place is it was in an old farmhouse, and when clients come for counseling, they're understandably nervous and anxious. And so coming into a home setting automatically relaxes them because it's not an institutional setting, it's a house. And so to move from one house to another house just keeps that comfortable feeling for people so that it puts them at ease when they're getting started in counseling.
How many clients do you have typically over a year?
We serve probably, as far as number of people, we probably serve somewhere between 400 to 600 people a year. So.
Okay. So, and if somebody has a problem, or they call the number on the screen?
Yes, yeah. They call the number.
Ask for you or ask for...
No, we have our office manager. We'll do an intake with them.
Okay.
And then, like I say, we'll just have a therapist call them and set up an appointment. We do, we take insurance here if they have insurance, but if they don't have insurance, we have a sliding scale fee system.
Okay.
So we don't turn anyone away because they don't have insurance. That's actually something I guess I would want to say is really important, because there's not a lot of counseling places that will take you if you don't have insurance. And as you know, these days there's a lot of people that don't have insurance for one reason or another. And so it's important that they still be able to get counseling if they need counseling. So probably only about 25% of the people that come here have insurance.
Really?
Yeah.
My.
And I think that's probably because maybe if they have insurance, maybe they're going to a private practitioner. But there needs to be a community agency where people can go when they don't have insurance.
Sure.
Because they have problems like anybody else does.
Sure. Typically, how long does an individual session last?
A session is usually anywhere between 50 minutes to an hour. We usually meet with people once a week. When the problem that they're coming in for starts to get better, we start to space their appointments out usually, and maybe meet with them every other week for a couple of weeks, so that we can see if the solution maintains itself over a longer period of time. And then if they're still doing well when we space out their appointments, then we usually are finished. I'd say probably the average number of sessions is maybe around 9 or 10. And that's an average, so that means there's some people that come fewer times than that, and some people that come more times than that.
Now, how do you measure your success rate?
Well, we do a couple of different ways. One of the first things that we do with people when they come in is we work with them on setting a goal of what they want to accomplish by coming to counseling. So we even do that by a practical question like, what will things look like when you're done that you would deem this is success? This is what I'm looking for. So we have a very tangible goal that we set with them, and then we really, unless they choose to stop coming, we keep working with them until they achieve that goal. And we do follow-up surveys with people about 4 to 6 months after their last session, so that we can check and say, how's it going? And we'll say in the follow-up survey, this is the problem that you came in for. Is it the same, better, or worse? And our success rate is about 87, 88% as far as people saying that it's better.
Yeah, do you get many repeats? People who
We get a few repeats, but they don't usually repeat right away. It's kind of like you might have certain problems with your 4-year-old, and so you come in then. And then when they're 14, that's a different set of problems, if you remember that from your kids.
What?
And so you might come in again later because you had a successful experience here when you brought your 4-year-old in, and now you're having a different set of problems with your 14-year-old, and you remember the family counseling center was a good place to go, and so you come back with maybe a different set of problems.
Well, it's good work that you do.
Yeah, thank you. We really are proud of it.
And you have a beautiful facility here, and an inviting facility, and I think I'm going to stick around for a little while.
Yeah, we'll give you a tour, okay?
Yeah, I'd love a tour. I'd love a tour. Thank you, Doree.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. That will do it for this edition of Speaking of Schaumburg. Thanks for watching, and join us again next month for another all-new episode. Until then, I'll see you around town.